Hello, career thought leaders. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can set up workflows in your business that will help you streamline and make sure you're serving your customers the best that you can. So, a few weeks ago, we shared a graphic that demonstrated the process of cultivating community, which is what I call it, right? We talk about lead generation. Yes, that's it. But for most of us who are in career services, we think about how we can build community, how we can help people. Our, that language of generating leads and putting people down a funnel just doesn't ever sit that well with me. So we created this graphic that was around a lighthouse of how we could help people do sales, how we could help ourselves, and how we can help people through our process. So I'm just thinking about that today, and we're going to talk about the 5 workflows that every business should have and what that really means for your business. So say hello, let me know that you're joining me. And I think this is things that you can put into practice even if you're in a university setting where you're wanting to stay in touch with folks. Maybe your marketing department's doing some of this, but you might have some of these things you want to do to stay in touch with students who come and see you as well, because that communication piece and that relationship piece is really why people come. It's why people continue to return, and how we serve people. Right now, the one thing that I'll say as we get started here is that a lot of times I hear people talking about the opportunity to build their community, their practice, their business through social media or through LinkedIn. And how do you cut through the noise? Well, what we've been talking about for a while, and because it's important, is that really to cut through the noise on LinkedIn, or any social media practice, or even on on a campus. It's about relationships. It's about people really trusting you. So they see your content, they seek it out, they engage with it every time. And that's what we want to help you do, is not just, create more content on LinkedIn, create more content. It's really not going to help if you don't have a system. So let me bring up our lighthouse here so that you have the visual, and then we'll go through this here a little bit. Okay, so when we're thinking about bringing people into our community, the first thing is that we have to build visibility. And social media and posting on social media is one way to build visibility, but there's, I don't know, at least 12 other ways on our list that we go through with folks of, how do you want to build that visibility? Then once people know you exist, you're building that relationship with them, right? That's that community building phase of, okay, they know you exist. How do you bring them into your community? Through usually some kind of way of getting their email address, or maybe they're joining your group on a social media platform, or on an off social media platform. Off social groups are growing a lot, and there's technology that will help you do that. And then you're connecting with them on a regular basis to nurture that relationship. In our business, very few people buy right away. And I was just watching something with Neil Patel, and he was talking about how there's 11 touch points now. Research shows we need 11 touch points with people before they will buy something. So that's important for us to think about. And then you're moving into where they actually might buy something from you. So how do we help them through this process in a way that fits for us as coaches or resume writers, right? Helping professionals. That's what we're going to talk about today, and the 5 workflows that you need in your business to help you do that. So the first one is in what I see is the biggest hurdle for most businesses, which is from visibility to community building. So people know I exist, but how do I actually get to have a conversation with them? Because otherwise, it's not leading anywhere if they just know I exist, but they don't know how to start a conversation with me. So in the world of sales, most people call that lead capture. I call it community building, right? That we're bringing people in, we're starting conversations with them. So this is where do people come when they want to learn more about you. And we do this, like I said, we've got probably 15 different things on the list of ways that you can do this. I would say some of the more recent ways are creating a custom GPT or some kind of chat bot or a quiz that people do and they get engaged, and then they give you their email along the way somewhere. But this lead capture sequence workflow is critical in your business, because what happens when someone does whatever they're going to do? They do the quiz, or they download your handout, or whatever you have set up. What are they going to do next? Because again, it's not that first touch point that they're usually going to buy. And that's just not a relational thought that, okay, they download the thing, I give them my pitch. If they don't buy, I'm done. That doesn't fit with the way we want to engage as coaches. So you need a sequence that has a conversation with them, hopefully a two-way conversation where you're sending them something, you're sending them some coaching questions, and you're offering the opportunity for them to respond. I am a coach, so I love to put coaching questions in my nurture sequences or lead capture sequences. So once people get started, or they even purchase one of our low ticket offers, there's a sequence that goes out to them that's asking, what are you integrating? What are you learning? All of those things to keep them thinking, keep them engaging, but also to demonstrate my approach as a coach or coach trainer, right? So these conversations, they typically are 5 to 7 emails that are sent over a couple of weeks' time once someone says they want to start the conversation with you. So they're giving you permission to have that conversation by downloading whatever it is that you've created, etc. Now, what does this look like logistically? It's a lead capture form, right? An information form that then delivers something to that individual that they've asked for, and then has the drip email sequence, or sometimes messaging if you're doing it on Instagram or whatever. It could be messaging instead of email. It really depends on your audience and who you're trying to reach and where they are finding you, what platform works best for that drip. Now, some of you are getting those on LinkedIn, right? We're getting these drip email sequences through LinkedIn messaging because that's how some salespeople are that's the channel they're choosing. I don't find that it works very well for me there, because most of the time I'm not giving people permission to start the sequence in the first place, which is the problem. And actually, if they had a permission-based thing, maybe it would go over better. Most of the time you just get a connection request and then they start their lead sequence. A connection request is not the same as opting in or getting into my system to me. Obviously it is to them, but it doesn't work for most of us, right? From what I've heard. Hi, Anne. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So this is the first and most critical piece that most coaches, business owners, resume writers are missing, is that once people know you exist, how do you start a conversation with them? And is that some kind of document, lead magnet, quiz, custom GPT that they can get from you? Is it, sometimes we do an initial consultation at this high level. So it's not a sales conversation where we know you want to buy something. We're talking about what that looks like, but it's more of a get to know you. And that can be out here at the top of the relationship as well, where we're just getting to know each other. That piece of it is critical. Do you have a sequence to do that? You can, if you don't want to buy any other technology. Someone was asking this in our Facebook group the other day. You can use a system like Zapier or Integrately or Pabbly Connect that will have the triggers set up so that when someone fills out a Google form, it can automatically send them an email. This is great, right? And if you don't have a high volume, you can do this for free for a little while. So if you've never used Zapier, it's the one that I have an account in. So that's what I'm going to show you. Actually, also just set up an account in Pabbly Connect for something different, because not all of these systems connect all the things. But you can come in here in Zapier, and if I want to create a Zap, which is an automated workflow, there are more intense things, but we could just start here, right? We can say, okay, the thing that starts my workflow is someone fills out a Google form, which would go to a Google Sheet, right? A Google form goes to a Google Sheet. So I can use Google Sheet as my first step. And then the trigger event is that there's a new or updated row. That row is going to be added automatically every time someone fills out a Google form for free, right? So I can add that there. I connect my account. It asks you what sheet you want to connect it to and all of that. And then you can go through and say, okay, what sheet? We're just going through here. And then you can say, okay, those are the things I want you to base it off of. And then the next action would be that it sends them an email, and you add this step the same way. Now, Zapier does have free accounts. If you're doing a low volume, this can be a great way to just automate little steps when you're not ready to automate the whole thing yet. Here's the thing with automations. Wait until you've done it manually for a while. I know that everybody talks about automation and it's a great thing to do, but I would do it manually for a while. Why? Because you'll get to see how you want the thing to flow. So you could have your 7 emails written out. You could put them in a text expander, and that will help you make it faster. But you're just seeing, how do I like this flow? How do people respond to it, before you worry about automating it with something like Zapier or with a customer relationship management program, like the one that we're getting started in our community using. So do it first manually, and then you'll see what you want to keep doing. But that lead capture follow-up is a must. The next one is client or onboarding. So once someone says, yes, I want to do business with you, do they get onboarded? Do they get an email that says, welcome? Do they get the follow-up pieces that make them feel like you know what you're doing in your business, right? And I can tell you that there are we have lots of programs, and we have some programs where this is turned on and some programs where we haven't turned it on yet, because it's a lot, right? And so the ones where we have it turned on, we get great response. We get great engagement, because right away when you sign up for something, you get an email, you get that flow, and it really helps, right? That's what we want for our clients. That when you sign up for a coaching service, or you sign up for a resume service, used to work for a resume writer that had this set up, right? Where as soon as a client started, they got an email, then they got personalized emails from their writer, but they kept getting the welcome flow for the business as well, so that they felt supported. They knew where to go if they had questions, all of those things. It's a great piece of business relationship when you have this set up in your business. So when someone buys something from you or they sign up for your services, what does that onboarding workflow look like for you? Well, how many emails? What are the welcome? What does it look like? Again, you can do this manually first. What do you want to do when someone first starts? Start a document in your computer, or whatever, a Google Doc, where you're capturing the emails that you send, because then when you get a tool that can help you, you'll have all those emails set to just put in there and customize as you need to. So we've gone through the lead capture, getting people in once they know you exist, the client onboarding, once someone signs up for something, how do they flow through? The next thing is that, and this is a little bit more complex for our business usually, but during the project workflows. So you think about, okay, I've got a coaching client, and after our first meeting, they get this email. Before our second meeting, they get that email. Those things can be triggered in a system where you could, mark that someone's finished the appointment and they just get it right away, or it would be based on their appointment, they'd get it right away. Or, at the very least, they could be set up in a text expander where you just type a few words and the whole email's there, and then you can edit it a little bit as you need to. I love it. I love the text expander. One of the ones that we use is called Text Blaze. Let me bring that up here. Make sure I don't have any things on the slide or on the screen before I bring it up. There's many of these. This one does not go across mobile and a desktop. There are ones now that do, so I'll probably move over to something that does here shortly. But I've got, easy things like my meeting link. I just have to type in 3 letters and it types in that whole link every time, so I don't have to remember it. The bottom part of every description for these live streams is set up so that, again, I just have to type a few letters and the whole thing pops up. Those are text expanders, and it'd be great ways to automate a little bit of what we're talking about today before you're ready to go into a full customer relationship management program where you've got the whole workflow going, right? So they make it easier and faster to just send those ongoing client communications in the project that you're doing. Now, here's one that we don't use enough, in my opinion, and this is a follow-up email sequence. So I know that there's an overarching belief in our industry that when you have a sales call with someone and they don't buy, that you don't want to chase them. I don't love that language. I'm a coach. If someone's not ready to move forward yet, it doesn't mean I want to write them off, right? You're not doing business with me. I'm done with you. So the follow-up sequence is a few emails after we meet, giving them some of those good coaching questions. I could have one for job search, one for career change, one for interview coaching, right? Where I've really thought about, okay, after we meet, they could be thinking about this, or I could give them this little resource so that they can keep moving. They can make some momentum. And then I'm asking them good coaching questions so they understand what we would be doing in our work together, and they can process it and decide if they want to do business together. I highly recommend a 3 to 5 email follow-up sequence after you have a, sales conversation with someone, even if they decide not to buy right away. The job market is challenging. People aren't sure about decisions right now. Don't write them off immediately. If they don't sign up with you on the call, give them that opportunity to understand what coaching looks like and also to build that relationship with you. Last one here is offboarding, another one that I don't think we do very much in our industry, which is when you're done with a service, that you've got a sequence that follows up with them. And this doesn't, I think, well, when I first started doing business, I was afraid that would mean they'd keep coming back to me, or they would think they could, get their money back easier or complain about something faster. And we have to realize that communication is good. If they are unhappy, you want to know about that. You don't want them out there stewing about it and saying bad things, right? So send them an evaluation, then send them an email a week later. Be clear about your boundaries. That's, I think, the challenge we have to overcome is be clear about those boundaries. So here's, the ways I can support you moving forward. And if we're clear about that, then we actually could have an opportunity to get more services versus feeling like they're going to abuse that or try to get help, and we keep extending ourselves because we want to help and then we burn out, right? So it's okay to have those follow-ups. It's good. You just want to be clear about what types of assistance you're able to offer moving forward and what types of assistance are a future service offering that they could choose if they want to. So when you're setting up these processes, and summer can be a great time to do this, where you sit down and you think about what are your service offerings, and then you map out the sequences that apply. So how am I getting people into this service offering? What is my sequence to follow up with them based on a lead that they can, some kind of way they can start a conversation with me? That's the first one. Then client onboarding. What does it look like when I welcome them in? Client process throughout our meetings. What types of emails am I sending to them? The follow-up when they don't buy. So that follow-up messaging, 3 to 5 messages after a sales call to continue the relationship, ask them some great coaching questions. And then the last one is those offboarding and testimonials, to try to get that evaluation, but also to open the door for them to provide those testimonials for you. And these can be set up, like I said, in a document that you copy and paste, in a text expander where you're just, doing it manually. I recommend starting there. And then, of course, you can move into something where you've got more of that customer relationship management. And when they fill out the form, they automatically get the email sequence. That's where the power of a customer relationship management system comes in, is that automation. So once someone fills out the form, they start to get the messages that they want, that you want them to get. So thinking about that for yourself, which one of those 5 is where you want to start? Do you want to start with that lead capture, with the client onboarding, maybe the follow-up after a sales call where people didn't buy right away? You want to look at your business and think about, where does it make sense for you to start? Because there's a lot of work that you could do, but where does it make sense for you to start? And then once you get started and you're mapping out your processes, you've got a document where you're putting those emails that you send, then you're ready to start thinking about technology. You can go to the technology faster, but what I find is that most people struggle, they get overwhelmed. I mean, even me, right? It's overwhelming if you don't have the ideas of what you want to do before you get there. Once you have that, it's really quite easy to put them into the system. And most systems work the same. I was going to just show you. I'll show you this offboarding workflow, which is one of the more complex ones that our team has created for the new folks that are joining our CRM that we're launching. I've been using it for a long time. Oh, that is not the right tab. That's my outline. Where's the right tab? Let's see here. Okay, there we go. So most systems look fairly similar, right? The trigger is that someone fills out a form or whatever it might be. This is an offboarding sequence. So the trigger would be that me, as the service provider, I go into the system and I tag someone as being complete with their service. So then they would go into their flow where they get the thank you email. It waits 5 days. If they don't fill out the feedback form, they keep getting the request for the feedback form. And then once they do fill out the feedback form, it says, okay, this is the type of follow-up that I want to send to them. Either, here's some interview coaching that we could do if you are interested in that. Here's some more career clarity work we could do, et cetera, depending on what they answer in the form. So this is more complex. You might just have, 5 emails, and that would be fine, where you're waiting a few days in between. Once you get going, then you start to see how you might want to manage it, the different types of emails you want to send, the different questions you want to ask, which is why, just get started today with whatever process makes the most sense for you. And that will be a step forward in your business. Whether you've got that follow-up email that's going now that you've had a sales call, even if you have to copy and paste it or, use that text expander for a while, do it, see how it feels, see what kind of response you get, so that then you can figure out if you want to automate it and how you want to automate it in your system. So I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this, you're watching the replay, drop me a note. Tell me which of these 5 workflows you're working on in your business so that we can support you and we can help you with that. We do have a couple events coming up. Our next one is Tech Jam. So Tech Jam gives you the opportunity to learn about a bunch of different technologies in our field, both in business as well as not in business. So people that are using interview prep services, interview prep technologies. We've got Lisa coming to talk about SkillScan and that assessment and how AI is going into these assessments. Career Compass from Entry, Lindsay Dowd's coming to talk about how we can use a system that helps our job seekers manage their job search. So this is our next event. I'll put up the QR code here if you haven't registered for that and you're interested. We start on June 24th with some of those presentations. Love to see you there, and check out some of those tools that you can use in your business or with your clients, no matter what setting that you're in. So I look forward to hearing how your businesses are growing, how you're using these workflows, and we'll see you next Tuesday for Trend Tuesday Live. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel so that you'll get notified when we go live. Thank you, everyone. See you next Tuesday.